Okay, y'all. Hey, this is Corey and Becky, and we're
Hi.
back with another episode of the PT Powerhouse.
Yep.
We have already giggled our butts off about the topic of today's episode, so we're just going to jump right in. Today is about how neither of us knew anything about running a business.
Literally nothing.
Until we did. So we're just going to talk about what that looked like.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you start with we talked about the genesis of Genesis a little bit, like why you started Genesis. Now I guess today is more about like the how.
Yeah.
Like how did you do it once you decided to do it?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't have some profound thing, or maybe it's very profound. I don't know. You can decide.
Mhm.
But it's literally you just decide that you're gonna do it and you go do it. Like
Yeah.
Nike stole our motto, like just do it. I always say, like, if they didn't have that motto, that would probably have been my motto. But that's it, the most zoomed out, like looking at all of what I've done. Essentially, I was just one day like, I'm gonna start a business.
Yeah. Because why not?
Because why not? Yeah.
Did you have anyone that you were like, oh, like I'm thinking about starting a business, and they were like, yes, do it, you know, get a PLLC, like this is how you do it, or like were you just like Google how to
yes
start a business?
and no. So I had like my husband Philip that was like, yes, do it, go off, yes, you know, and like he still to this day is like that. Biggest cheerleader known to man. But from like the logistics standpoint, no. I have a good friend, a chiropractor, who has her own business, and she very much like wanted to help me, but it just I wasn't sure. I was like, is it the same with chiropractic and PT? Like I just didn't know. So I was just like, thanks, but also I'll just like do it myself, you know, like it was very nice that she was trying to help, but I didn't want to like take advice without me having like confirmed that's what I needed to do. So that at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like looking this stuff up anyways.
Yeah.
I'll just like do it myself.
Yeah.
So no, like there was no like
homework.
blueprint. There was no coach back then. Like there was no class I took. Like it was literally, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like that was literally it. I'll go figure out how to do it. And that's honestly like the best advice for anyone. If you're listening and you potentially want to start your own business and you haven't done it yet, you just have to do it. Like you just have to be like, this is my why. This is why I want to start this business, and get solid in those reasons or that main reason. And then that will drive your life to go do the thing and figure it out.
Yeah. I also feel like, so like obviously we're both PTs, and in PT school they make running a business sound so hard.
Yes, Corey.
Because it's like, you know, insurance and ethics and liability and the hospital and la 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 la. And like all of that stuff is true. And like you don't have to do all of that stuff.
Right. You don't have to network with insurances.
No. And I feel like, you know, it's like, it's not like you just start a business and you're like, la la la, I started a business. Right. Like you research it, you looked it up, you consulted other professionals who that's their thing. So I feel like most people who are smart enough to go get their DPT and like pass the boards and write research for everything and like read research and all that stuff, you're smart enough to find the right professional to answer your question.
Right.
So
and I think you bring up an interesting point, because if we compare PT school and chiropractic school, chiropractors are taught to go learn for a couple years, like under someone, and then go do your own thing. Like they're literally taught that. They're given resources. They're encouraged to do that. It is opposite in PT school. It's very much like that you just don't even talk about it. You're going to go work at the hospital, or you're going to do this outpatient clinic, or you're going to do home health care or peds or neuro. Like those are the choices that you can go pick, or like what clinic or what location are you going to work at. It's never, or you can start your own business and here's some practical tips of what you would need to do, which are not, it's not that many things. You either get an LLC or a PLLC, which we are now switching from PLLC, side note, to LLC, because if you have multi-professionals, you need to be an LLC. So like we have OTs now, so we are becoming an LLC. So just think about that. There's different legal protections with PLLC and LLC. At the end of the day, you're going to be protected with either one. So I would say, looking back, just go LLC if you think you potentially are going to have OTs or other licensed professionals working with you. But that was a detour. But literally, you just need one of the two, PLLC or LLC. You need general business insurance to cover the business. You need professional liability insurance, which you would need anyway, wherever you were working. Anywhere. Professional malpractice, whatever liability. You can consult with a business attorney if it makes you feel better. I did not do that in the beginning. I just went with what Google said, essentially, which, I mean, it was more to it than that, but
you researched it and
yes,
came to
quality sources, things of that nature. And then you decide, am I mobile? Am I brick and mortar? Am I online? Am I a hybrid of all of the above? And that kind of, depending on what you pick there, will drive what kind of like general insurance you need. And then if it's just you, a solo practitioner, like you're not having to look at benefits for a team. You're not having to look at, if you just decide I'm going to be out of network with everyone, you don't have to look at how do I contract with insurance companies. And, that's literally what you need. That's all you need. You open a bank account. That's like open your own business bank account. I literally did Bank of America. So easy. It's free. Just a business checking. All you need is a business checking account. And then you're good.
And then you're off.
You have a business. You have a business.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you brought up the PLC, LLC thing, because it does bring a good perspective. Because I think so many people, when they are like, I don't know how to do, I don't know exactly what to do. So I can't do anything until I know exactly what to do. And like, I feel like business is so much like being a provider in a lot of ways, which is why it makes me laugh with people when they're like, I couldn't possibly do that. I'm like, you are literally a doctor. You're very smart. You can figure it out, I promise. Yeah. Because even if you're like, oh, I think that was the wrong decision, we need to make a change, as long as you haven't done anything illegal, you like can. Like you can go make a change and update whatever you need to update, and everything's gonna be fine.
It literally will be fine. And I think that's a great example, because at the time, it never came up that, oh, what if you hire an OT one day? Because I literally was like, it is going to be me working 3 days a week in this one room for the rest of time. Like, if it succeeds, like if I don't fail and go under, So I was not thinking ahead of hiring at all, let alone outside of the PT profession. So at the time, it felt like PLLC fit the best, because I was like, yeah, it's just me, a PT. Like, yeah, but now looking back, hindsight's 2020. So I would just say go with an LLC. But, yeah. But that's all you got to do. And you literally don't need to also, this is another favorite topic, do not pay like LegalZoom. Do not pay the people to file your LLC thing. Just take the time to look it up and go to I want to say it's your state comptroller people. Yeah. And you file it through there for literally a third of the cost if you were to pay LegalZoom or some other of those websites to go file your LLC. You can do it yourself. You just pay the fee to apply, not the fee to apply plus their fee to file it for you. So, yeah, you just figure it out. That's what you do.
Yeah. Well, and nowadays, I feel like with like the internet and like YouTube, like, I don't know, there's been this like payroll stuff on my agenda, on my plate lately. And so I've just been doing all this research of like different options, talking to other people, like problem solving as you go. And like, it's not easy. It's still a lot of work. But again, not to keep tooting our own horns, but it's like, if you made it through school, like you are smart enough to like Google something and figure it out. Yeah. And find a quality resource from the appropriate professional and like do a gut check of like, does this seem accurate, incorrect? Who can I call who might know? And then like proceed with caution from there. And if you made the wrong choice, You'll
Is
find
it'll
that
be okay.
out and you'll fix it.
And it will be okay. There's always learning and failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think there's like an important distinction to make, which is coming up for me as you're talking, is just because you can go start a business doesn't mean you're the type of person that should or would want to, maybe is more what I'm saying. Like, yeah, we made it through PT school. We're smart. We do all these things. We can do anything. But like, we also are like, that's kind of our personalities, is like, do our own thing, solve a problem. Like, oh, I don't like how they're doing it, so we're just gonna do it our way. Like, let's just create a business that lets us do it our way, you know, versus like, if that's not what brings you passion, if you are someone, even though you're smart, even though you could do a business, even though you could figure it all out, if you're just like, I just don't want to, that's fine. Because you know what businesses need? Employees. So you can go work for someone. Also, so I just want to like put that out there as like, we're not saying
you have to,
that just because you went through PT school and like just because you are intelligent, you can research things, you can figure things out. If that's not your calling, don't do it. But also don't settle for a boss or a job or a company that is crap. Okay? Like, you have a doctoral degree. You bring so much to the table. I'm going on a tangent, but it's a good tangent. Like, do not go take a job or keep a job that has you beat down, burnt out, doesn't value you, doesn't respect you, doesn't pay you well. The list can go on and on. Like, you don't have to go start your own business, but you need to fight for yourself. And go find a job that will respect you.
Well, and I think that kind of brings me to like my underlying point of like, I'm sure it depends what PT school you went to. We both went to school in Texas, so maybe this is more of a thing here. But to your point earlier, they really, part of the education makes it sound like you will always just be working for someone else for the entirety of your career. If you want to do something different, you should probably go get an MBA or like whatever. And I'm sure like if you're trying to run a hospital, maybe that is going to be super important. But if you are like, I would really love to have my own business, but I've been taught to be scared of like getting sued or like, you know, you're going to lose your license if you do this, that, or the other thing. Like, again, like all of this stuff is written down. It's part of your PT Practice Act. You can Google it. You can consult an attorney. Like, if it's something you really want to figure out, you can. And I love what you brought up earlier, though, about like, if you don't want to do that, though, just go find a great job. Because great jobs love great employees.
Love them.
And I'd also say if you don't want to be a leader or a boss, you can also start a solopreneur practice and you don't have to scale.
100%. And honestly, you can make so much money doing that. Like, I would say right in the beginning, like I was making so much money individually and as a company when it was just myself. Then we started to hire and grow and scale. We saw a dip, which is very normal for like growth. Everything, like you're gonna have to invest in growth to get the ROI, to get the return on the investment, and we're seeing this back in this uptrend, and it's like, you totally can just go be by yourself, and you can still go change the world with just you, and you don't have to hire people, you don't have to scale.
Because some people are like, I don't want to work for someone else, but I don't want to be a boss, and it's like, okay. That's an option.
100%.
You can do that. And there's going to be pros and cons to every single option. Because also, again, like we both, maybe I'll speak more for myself, but I do like being a leader and helping to care for other people and make sure that they don't just have a job, they have like a great job. And that is also hard work. But you also don't have to think about all of that just to start your business. Unless your vision is to grow and grow and grow right away, which wasn't your vision at all. Which is so funny that's
it's
how
hysterical.
It ended up.
I know. But it's definitely like in my track record of my life to just be like,
it's the vibe.
To just be like, let me just do a little more, go a little further, which I don't mean to whatever, but it's just, if you look back at like my personal life and probably yours too, of like any like sports or academics or whatever we chose to do, we ended up going further in that thing and being better than maybe we would have foreseen or thought or even like cared to be like in the beginning. Like, it's just because that's our nature, is to just like, what else can we make better here? What else can we add to this to make us incredible? Like us as a team incredible. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. And so many of even like as Genesis scaled, like the choices, I remember when we were doubling our staff, you had hired me because you were too full. And then 6 months later, I was like, we have to hire more people. Like this is too many patients. Because our wait lists were like 6 weeks long for the both of us, which for a business, that's a very comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
But as providers who really care, we're like, we can't have patients waiting 6 weeks, which again, that's a personal choice. Like, I don't think that's a moral failing if you're like, I'm not going to expand because I don't want to be a boss. I want to just see patients and go home and have my own LLC. I think that's totally fine and great too. But for us, we were like, we need twice as many providers.
Literally, yes.
Yesterday. And so we rearranged schedules and hired quality people and like made that choice. But I don't know, it's just making the choice that's a good fit for you and that's congruent to what you want. And you can figure it out along the way. Okay, how do we do that? How do we hire more people? Where are we going to put them? You can add another account to PTE. It's not that hard. Like those sorts of things that when I chat with other people. Yeah.
Shout out, Jonathan.
Hey, we hired another one.
He's like, congrats, Dr. Allen, every single time. I love you, Jonathan, if you're listening.
Yeah. But when I chat with other people, they're like, what? They haven't even started a business yet. Yeah. And they're like, but what about if I have to hire? And
then we hire.
Then you'll hire someone and it'll be okay.
Yeah. Like, I think there was one of my posts on Instagram. It had something to do with you and I recently. It might have been a bot. I don't know. Some random person or thing commented and they were like, your growth is incredible. And then he asked, or it asked, whatever it was, if you had one piece of advice for aspiring business owners, what would that be or something? And I commented because whether it's a bot or a person, I always reply.
Yeah.
Because engagement, it helps the post. But I replied and I just said something to the effect of like, just start, which is literally true. Like if it is what you want, you just got to start. You just have to go and like, you will figure it out, because I don't want to say it's not that hard, but it's not that hard.
Like it's like not.
I know.
Because the other thing is, again, for clinicians, like this is for clinicians who, in my opinion, are the best suited to run a clinical practice because you actually understand what treating patients are like instead of someone who maybe went to business school, but they have no idea how hard it is to get patients in and out the door, or how much supplies you're going to need, or how long they're going to need to come, or all those things that clinicians are just like, duh, of course they need an extra 5 minutes if they have a newborn baby. I like almost lost my point for a second, but clinicians are really well educated on how things could actually run smoothly, but you don't necessarily have that business training. But you can just Google it.
Exactly.
That is not the hard part.
That's a good point. That is not the hard part.
There are hard parts.
The answers are there. Yeah. The hard part is not how do I form a business?
Yes.
Like, and how do I become an entity? Like, those things you just do, and then you get into it, and there are hard parts, and that's where, like, both of us, we invest in coaching. Like, I have multiple coaches. We do coaching groups. Like, for years we've done this. And that we very much advocate for is for the hard parts. You will benefit from having coaches to like guide you through it. Those that have been there, even if it's not the exact mirrored situation, people who have been through a hard thing and who are also qualified to help guide you through the hard thing, not just anyone. But that's money well spent, is on executive level coaching, not necessarily, in my opinion, like, I don't want to say it's not worth it to pay a coach to tell you how to start a business, but like, don't pay a coach to tell you how to start a business. Like, just go start it. Yeah. And then get a coach to help you with the growth, with the hard stuff. Like,
because there will be hard stuff, but it's like, you can also find the right coach or professional for that stuff once you're in it, rather than investing in someone to just like help you start a business. And then you're like, great, now what? Now I have to hire, now I have to do this. Now it's bringing up stuff for me, like stuff I'm insecure about or struggling with. Which I would say is what the coaching helps with like the most, is when you're doubting yourself and your ability to do something really hard, like train your staff or solve a problem or something like that. So,
and I think a lot of questions that I've gotten before from my own clients are like, well, what are metrics that I need to look at in the beginning? And like, what are, how do I market? And like things like that.